those what I wish I knew before I locked kind of topics. Up Glam fam, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of my 30-day series of Loc Tips. I'm super excited to continue to share some information and some tips on what's helped me in my 3-year lock journey going on 4, and soon to come vegan tips from my 2-year vegan journey. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Glamorous, aka Locked and Vegan, and if you don't know what I'm about or what I do, go ahead and check out my socials so we can get familiarized. If you're getting value, hit that like button. Please comment any questions you feel I should address during this series and share with your friends and family you feel would benefit. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on those post notifications so you will never miss a video. So let's get into it. We are already more than halfway through the 30-day series of Loc Tips. I'm so glad that I decided to do this and that I've gotten so much positive feedback from this. Just makes me excited to do more things like this, like giving tips and trips and bouncing things off of each other and helping you guys through your journey while also helping me through my journey. Shout out to those who have been with me since day one. If you haven't seen my past Loc Tips, go ahead and check a few out for me. Why don't you? So this next Loc Tip is my personal recommendation. I just feel is better for your lock journey. And you can kind of take it with a grain of salt because you can do what you want with your hair for real at the end of the day. Loc tip number 17 for my personal recommendation is to not bleach or dye your locks until they're more mature. Now I do know some lock heads that say to never bleach your locks, but I do know that can be hard for some people because sometimes we just want to add a little extra color. I don't want us to not be able to do something like that just because we have locks. So that's why I'm gearing my lock tip for today more towards not bleaching until you're more mature. This comes from my personal experience as well because as you can see, my tips are blonde. And I went to the salon and bleached my tips blonde to get it that light color when I was maybe like a year or so into my journey. And I have more of a loose texture hair, so my hair didn't really formally lock or become as mature as they should have to be bleaching my hair until maybe 2 years in. Basically, my locks weren't fully mature when I bleached my hair. And because of that, when the bleach set in, it shrunk my locks up. Like my locks were going through that phase of budding and frizzing up and densing up, getting thicker. And that's when I bleached my locks. And the few that I bleached got really thin and crunchy, unfortunately, because bleach dries out your hair. And that was because the bleach damage kind of sped up my process in not allowing my locks to fully develop their thick stage, if that makes sense. And I can kind of still see the effects today because my bleached ones are still thinner. But some of my locks with the regular ends that were not bleached, some of them are super thick. They went through the full process of frizzing up and budding and becoming thicker, and they ended up staying thicker. The biggest difference that I noticed was the dryness though after I bleached my locks, because I only did kind of half and half. It was my bottom half, I bleached the entire bottom half because my hair was short, so I did it up to the roots and then left left the rest of my hair down. So when I put it in a ponytail, it would be it was pretty cool at the time. But the major difference that I noticed was how much more dry my bleached locks were. And they were so crunchy that even when I would feel them, I would hear the frizz and the friction and the crunchiness as I was touching my locks. It was just not fun. So I had to kind of go through a healing process with my locks because I bleached them. Luckily, I have pride in the products that I'm using, and there's a certain line that I use that specifically targets damaged hair from bleaching and dyes and stuff. I used a lot of hair masks and leave-in conditioners to help to reverse that dry damage, and that really did help. They're back to being normal and soft. But I will let you in on a little secret and say that you can still feel a difference because the ones that didn't get bleached or dyed are just so incredibly soft. And they're just so fluffy compared to, yes, my blonde locks have gotten a lot better. They have like no movement compared to the ends that were not bleached. I do know that you can get a really nice light color even with super dark hair without using bleach. Like, I know a few lock heads who have a really nice blonde color who have never used bleach before. They just use a certain type of dye that they kind of use over and over again. So still a little bit of that excessive dyeing, but it's not as bad as bleach, and you still get that light blonde color, because if you want color, you deserve to have color, and you got to make it work somehow without causing so much damage. You feel? Yes, it might be easier and quicker and more long lasting if you bleach your hair, but it can come with a lot more consequences, and it is probably worth it for your hair more if you just stuck to dyes, and the good kind of dyes, like the vegan friendly dyes, the one without the parabens or sulfates, so that you're not drying out your hair or doing anything equivalent to bleach. And this is kind of going along the lines of those what I wish I knew before I locked kind of topics. So it's just something to think about as you're going through your journey, or maybe even before you start your locks, because a lot of lock heads have actually either regretted dyeing their hair or have loved that they have never dyed their hair, even if it's just dye rather than bleach, just because they're keeping their fully natural texture and they didn't do anything excessive to their manipulation, so they have really nice consistent locks. So just so you know everything that you're getting into. But at the end of the day, I do want to reiterate and say that I am absolutely in love with my locks. Different textures, different sizes, and all. Like I mentioned in a previous video about your locks being sacred and unique to your personal journey, being an extension and a reflection of you. I mean, in life we go through a lot of ups and downs, and we learn from our mistakes, or we get a couple bruises that make us who we are. And that's kind of how I see the journey or the development of our locks, how we have different locks and different sizes and different textures because of what we did on our journey. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's beautiful how we can have a whole bunch of different types of locks in our head that come together to make this beautiful bouquet of locks on your scalp. So I do want to point out that yes, I bleached my locks and it might have caused some damage that I was able to recover, luckily, but I don't regret it, and I wouldn't change anything because I love my locks how they are today. I think those that have regretted dyeing their locks maybe have done it a little excessively, or like their whole head. So luckily I only did a few of my tips, so it didn't change anything for me drastically. So at the end of the day, do what you feel is best for you and best for your locks and best for your style, and just continue to love on your locks and maintain them and give them some tender love and care, some moisture. They'll be all right. Okay, just let them mature first. Let them go through their stages. Let your kids grow up. You feel me? I'm using my analogies again. That was a wink also. I'm working on it. But thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I'm super grateful to be able to have this platform to share my experiences and information with my lock journey to help you on your lock journey. And don't forget to tune into the next video, okay? Make sure those post notifications are on so that we know when we drop in each video, okay? See you later, alligators.